How's it going, Dragons? This is the legendary Dragon Duelist, and today I'm going to be showing you a Dragon Link deck profile. Yep, the big dragon deck for the big legendary dragon channel. So I just wanted to say to you guys that this Dragon Link deck profile will not be including the Brave token engine because I wanted to show you like a more, well, if you can even call it pure Dragon Link deck profile, because it's just a whole bunch of dragons in there. But so I just wanted to make this deck profile without including those cards because I know that some people were probably annoyed with them by now, and I think it'd be nice and cool to have kind of another one of these just traditional version of Dragon Link. Alright, so I'm going to be starting off with 3 copies of Rocket Tracer, and since we're not going to be, using up so many other engine cards, like 3 of these I'd say is great because we're going to be focusing a little bit more on the Rocket package part of this deck profile. Of course, Rocket Tracer is just a good extender, so it's nice if you draw it as well so you don't have to use Ravine. Then I'm going to have Silver Rocket and Rocket Recharger. I included Silver Rocket because of Borland Dragon. I wanted to be able to have a little bit more utility, and also like based off of what Tracer can summon, so that way, if I use it to summon Recharger on a follow-up turn, I can use it to summon Silver Rocket as well, or something like that. And Silver Rocket has a good effect if you use Borland to target with, because then you get to see your opponent's extra decks, so you'll know what they're playing if you didn't already, and you'll be able to rip a card out of it. So that's going to be very useful in terms of, either the grind game or getting out pivotal cards from your opponent's extra deck. The effect for Recharger doesn't come up as much anymore, but it could still come up a little bit, so just keep in mind of what it does. Next, I'm going to be including 2 Rocket Synchron, one for your main combo where you summon Hot Red, unless you don't summon Hot Red, which I mean could depending on your hand. And then we also have the other one for follow-up plays. This could also be used for Halki Fibrax if you want to get out a Dragon Tuner. Yeah, and do keep in mind that it does lock you into Darks if you summon a card from the graveyard with this effect. And now for like kind of the end of the Rocket package, there's going to be 2 Absarada Dragons. This is of course going to get your searches for cards like Rocket Tracer. And it's also a nice extender in the hand if you're able to get a Rocket monster on the field, because you can just summon it, and then this plus Rocket Synchron is also a level 8 Synchro monster, so you could use that as well. I'm going to be including 3 copies of Seifert. This is mainly to get your searches. You're mainly going to search probably the white and black dragons from this. And also has a nice graveyard effect to recycle your Levianeer. Next, I have 2 Noctovision dragons. And this is just going to be like one of the best extenders in your deck because it's going to be a chain block for your Striker Dragon. It's also going to get you another draw. And next, for another useful extender, I'm going to be having Destrudo. Now we're going to be milling a bit with Chaos Ruler. So this could end up in the graveyard and, be useful as an additional extender for you. You can also send this to the graveyard with Dragon Ravine, which is pretty nice because in case, you need that extender as well, this also works. And now just white and black dragon, these are just another some more generic extenders. Of course Banish a Light or Banish a Dark, summon one of these. Then Chaos Dragon Levianeer, this card's pretty good. I almost wish I could see it more actually, because it could rip a card out of the opponent's hand, so that's pretty useful. It's also a level 8, so that means we're going to use it a lot to summon our rank 8 Xyz monsters. Okay, now getting out of the dragons, I'm going to be implementing a Fairy Tale Snow because this is just a good card. I mean, that's honestly why I'm playing it. And for example, if you get Dark Ruler and you have a Hieratic Seal on the board, you can summon Fairy Tale Snow from the graveyard, tribute it, and then summon again. That way you just have 2 Book of Moons with Fairy Tale Snow. So it works like that since Seal tributes for cost. This card has been really useful for me, especially when I'm dueling people, and I just need a little bit more disruption, and it just saves me a lot of the times and turns games around. And now I'm just going to be showing off the hand traps. So I have 3 Nibiru here. Now, even though Splice running around, I think that Nibiru is still very useful. It's also a light monster, which works very well for Chaos Space, which is going to be actually the reason why all the hand traps in here are light monsters or dark monsters. I only have light hand traps though, like this next one, which is Effect Veiler. 3 copies of this, for effect negation. Also 3 copies of Gamma with the driver So of course, Gambit's just a pretty good hand trap right now. You know, it's really effective, especially when you're using your like spell cards and you don't have any cards on the board. Like some people will decide not to Ash Blossom you or like not to use certain hand traps because you don't have monsters on your field yet. So it's just very good for disruption on your opponent's turn and for a little bit of protection on your starting plays. Alright, next I'm going to get into the spells, starting with the field spells, which is just both, you know, Boot Sector Launch and Dragon Ravine. Of course, you kind of need these two cards because Boot Sector Launch is going to summon your rockets, and then Dragon Ravine is just going to act to either search your rockets or like send more extenders to the graveyard. Of course, both of them are searchable. Then we have 3 Quick Launch, which is a really great extender. It's not once per turn. No special summons from the deck. Then we have 3 Chaos Space. This is another really good extender because you get to use it to, you know, search your white and black dragons, and then you also get a draw plus more resources. So just a good card. Also have World Legacy Guard Dragon because I think it's actually a pretty good extender in the deck. You know, that's the theme with a lot of these cards. Like a lot of these cards just have a whole bunch of synergy that just extends really well, and especially since we only have 1 copy of Striker Dragon and no like LP, this works really well for being able to use Pisty. And then I'm just going to include my one-ofs, which is Called by the Grave and Harpy's Feather Duster. Called by the Grave is just good for like decks like these. If you can already play through Disruption now, you can play through even more Disruption. It just gets rid of hand traps. And then Harpy's Feather Duster I like to include in just in case opponent's main decking Mystic Mine or I'm going up against some back row deck. Just always nice to have at least, you know, that there's one out in your deck. Okay, that was the main deck. I'm going to now go to the extra deck, starting with 1 Striker Dragon. This, of course, is a great Link 1, and it searches your field spell. And then the other Link 1 is just going to be Guard Dragon Pisty. This is just, you know, it could be for recursion. It could bring back monsters from the banished piles. Remember that, it's not just graveyard. It doesn't come up as often anymore without LP or another copy of Striker Dragon, but it's still useful. Then Heretic Seal. This is a good card, just have 1 copy though. It's good for disruption, good for, you know, playing against Dark Ruler as well. Then we have Romulus. This is just going to search your Dragon Ravine, so it's another searcher. Then Quad Boral Dragon. This comes up like when you need it. If you need to get your rocket monsters from your graveyard onto the field, just go ahead and make Quad Boral. Halqifibrax. This is especially good for extending, especially makes it easier to summon Borderland Dragon. Because sometimes, since the Link 5 requires a lot of materials, it could be a little bit difficult to get all the pieces on the board. But Halqifibrax just makes it a little bit more easier. Then we have IP Masquerena. This is going to be used as, you know, as disruption. Then we have Dark the Dark Charmer. This is a pretty good card. It's pretty good since there's a lot of dark monsters in the game. Okay, then Link 3 monsters is Nightmare Unicorn. So this is, of course, we're probably going to be mostly summoning it off of IP Masquerena on the opponent's turn. Or if not, you could also just make it on your turn and start board breaking. And then linking off into Access Code Talker most of the time to get, you know, the big 5,300 damage, no decay. I decided not to put Triple Burst in because I didn't think Triple Burst was too useful, especially with how tight the extra deck is. And then, of course, you saw it in the beginning of this, is just Borderland Dragon. Really great boss monster. It could be hard for your opponent to out, and it puts a lot of pressure on the board. So okay, next for synchro monsters, there's going to be Borreload Savage Dragon. This just gets you a negate. Chaos Ruler is a good one because this gets you to mill some cards. It could also be used as an extender or for follow-up plays by bringing it back from the graveyard. And also Hot Red Dragon. This is a good big meaty boy that we're mostly going to summon off of, you know, use synchro summoning with Chaos Ruler, I'd say most of the time. I haven't really used Borreload Savage Dragon to synchro summon it, so it's mostly going to be Chaos Ruler. And by the way, don't forget about Hot Red's effect to bring back a tuner monster from the graveyard if it inflicts damage. Hey, this is the last card of the extra deck, and it's the Zombie Vampire. This is a really good Xyz monster because it does a little bit more milling plus extending. You can also summon monsters that you mill off your opponent's deck, so that's good. Millings also could be really useful against certain decks in this meta right now because there's not a lot of decks that really want to mill cards. And sometimes you can like get rid of some vital cards. It's probably not as useful as it was, I'd say, in the previous format. But still pretty good. And you're going to be able to Xyz summon this card using Chaos Ruler. which is good because let's say you summon back Chaos Ruler from the graveyard, then you XZ summon it with this. Chaos Ruler doesn't get banished anymore, and now you have it for your follow-up turn. So that's just a really nice, useful tool to know about. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the deck profile. Hope you enjoyed the deck profile. Of course, like a little bit more just dragons meshed in with each other instead of, you know, Brave tokens and Punk cards. And if you're worried about its viability without the Brave token cards, I would say that it's still very good and very viable to use in the meta game. And of course, since a lot of people probably can't or don't want to pay for all the Brave token stuff, this is your option to go with if you want to play Dragon Link. Alright, so yeah, that's about it for this video. If you want a combo guide on this, just let me know and I'll make a combo guide. And as always, I hope you have a great day.